The US government has expressed concern over India's revised e-commerce regulations. US has told officials in New Delhi that the new policy will hinder the Indian investment plans of Amazon and Walmart. The tussle marks the latest in a string of concerns that have been raised by the United States over Indian government policies which impact American companies. This also coming at a time when the two countries are trying to iron out other trade irritants. India's e-commerce investment rules will kick in from the 1st of February, and this is why America has a huge problem with some of those regulations. The regulations ban companies from selling products via firms in which they have an equity interest, also barring them from making sales and deals with sellers to sell exclusively on their platforms. The policy has dealt a blow to Walmart, which last year invested $16 billion to buy 77% of India's Flipkart. It will also force Amazon to change its business structure in the country and raise operational costs as well. And going straight across now to Danielle, our correspondent, joining us live from Washington, D.C. Danielle, hi. Give us a deeper sense of how these regulations severely impact American firms and why America has raised those strong concerns.
Well, the big picture here is that, according to Morgan Stanley, the e-commerce market in India is projected to grow by an astonishing 30% per annum and will reach by 2027 about $200 billion US. The stakes are incredibly high here, and both Walmart and Amazon have made substantial early investments in order to get a substantial piece of this market. So there's a lot at stake for them. As they begin to grapple with this sort of change in the rules of trade after they've made these investments, they're coming back and essentially saying through unnamed sources that they are discontent because in a sense, the playing field has been changed just after they made these investments. But I think, this is part and parcel of the negotiations going into a period when India is seeking to, in a sense, protect its small businesses, its small traders, in an environment where two very large sharks have entered the water.
Right, and we have already heard the American officials raise those objections at multiple levels. Do we expect them to continue with that opposition and try and rake this up at a higher level as well?
There's chaos in Washington at the moment because of the US government shutdown, which includes the US Commerce Department. So the US officials are running on real skeleton staff at the moment. So I'm sure they are somewhat reliant on the perspectives of these powerful US corporations in sort of tailoring their messaging. It's notable to see that at this stage, the US is talking sort of on background. They're not making too many official statements because simply they don't have the staff and the resources even to engage in official talks. But I think given the complexity of this issue, we are now talking about this e-commerce issue as a government-to-government issue, as well as a business-to-government issue from the US perspective. And don't forget that the US on the trade side is highly combative. They are in a situation of high sensitivity with the Indians at the moment, and this only adds to the complexity of the negotiations going forward.
All right, we're going to leave it there for the moment, Danielle, but thanks very much for those perspectives, telling us a little bit more about why the United States government is so apprehensive and is raising those objections against the Indian regulations. Remember, those new rules will come into effect from the 1st of February, but this also coming at a time when the United States, as Danielle was pointing out, various departments, including the Commerce one, are reeling under a crisis thanks to the US government shutdown. So they're formulating a policy, a stronger policy against the Indian regulations also has been questioned.